is an experience that you might be having as you incorporate new ways of being in your world and in your relationships, in the different places you have connection with other people. What can happen initially is that it can feel like it's more uncomfortable now than it was before. And you can be a bit like, hang on a minute, this is supposed to feel better. It doesn't feel better. What's going on or what's going wrong? Our mind can start to then get a little bit interested in working out what's wrong and what needs fixing and what's wrong with us, usually. Like, how come we're doing it wrong? If I feel uncomfortable, then I must be doing it wrong, is often what can happen in the mind. And so some of that might look like you start to speak more clearly about what's true for you. And instead of relief, you might feel some internal relief, but it might mean that the response in the relationship is actually tension. And that can be super uncomfortable. And maybe you don't use your automatic response, the one that you've always had. And so therefore it feels a bit off. It's like, oh, it's like a clunk. Something doesn't fit. And you're like, oh, that can't be right. If my body feels like I've missed a step or something's clunky. Or maybe you did choose yourself. You said, yes, I want this instead of that. Or no, that's not okay for me. Or this is what I'm doing. You're willing, you're able to make whatever choice you want to make about that, but this is what I'm doing for me. Maybe that's something that's happened. And in that, your body can feel quite unsafe sometimes. You might feel that there's this almost sense of like high energy that we can label as anxiety. And that can be like, oh, this can't be right. I've just got to do whatever I need to do to calm down my responses. Because we read safety as like a calm internal response. And it's not always true. Confusing messaging, right? Because we're taught to listen to our body and respond and all of that sort of thing. But where it gets tricky is where what the mind is doing is influencing the body. And so if we've tried one of these things, we've spoken up more honestly, and as a result, there has been some tension between you and another person, your mind will start to go, oh my God, you've got to make this right again. This could go really badly for you. What if they tell your friends that you're a bitch? What if they do whatever they're going to do with the information? Oh my God, that won't be safe. It might impact your work or your business or your relationships with your children. Like whatever the stakes are, your mind will go, oh my God, and then make all this meaning out of what's happened. And it's not necessarily true, right? But the mind is doing its thing, and then the body reacts to that. That's the difference. It's almost like not a clean signal when it's in reaction to where the mind has raced off. My ex-boyfriend used to call it the dish running away with the spoon. And it was great. It was actually great because I might be doing something about where my business was at or whatever and having a chat to him about it. And he'll go, sounds like the dish has run away with the spoon. And it was kind of like a non-threatening way of saying, are you really sure that that's true? And so the mind can definitely do that. And I've had a situation this week with a one-on-one client who the dish ran away with the spoon. There was something that she didn't speak up about, and it turned into this extreme amount of tension in her system because she had a perceived rupture in the relationship. And in the rupture, her mind went crazy. And then the other piece that the mind can do is go on this treasure hunt to find all the ways that the other person is wrong and really make a very amazingly, fabulously secure sounding case for why the other person is wrong. And in this instance, you might find that that is turned and there's all these ways of why you're making yourself wrong. Right? And it's almost like a response to tension in the system is the mind will go, where's the wrongness? I'll just find that and then we can fix it. Or shore up, who we are. And so that's where the response in the physical being can be coming from the stories of the mind and where it's gone, versus an actual felt sense of what is most true here. And it's actually really helpful, and maybe you want to journal this out a little bit so that your mind can kind of take it in, is what's actually happening is that you're no longer medicating yourself by running the old pattern. It's a form of medicating yourself and medicating your world around you and medicating the relationship with that person or whatever. And now if you're more centered and more able to speak your truth, if there's tension, then that's the truth of the moment. It may not always be true. It might just be during the change in the dynamic. Or maybe there's always been tension and you've been medicating yourself to reduce the tension, which puts the dynamic into a state of, well, it's not actually true then, is it, if it's being medicated? And so there's a point of maturity where we need to come into relationship with being okay with what is most true, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's outside of our preferences, even if it causes tension, either between us and another person or internally for the other person. We have to come to this capacity of being able to be with tension and not seek to modify ourselves or medicate the moment because it's uncomfortable. It's a monstrous life lesson. Another one that should probably be taught to teenagers. It's like, how can I be okay with tension and not make it mean anything bad about them or me? It's tension. What is most true here is that there is tension. That could be a complete statement. Versus what the mind will do is like, well, and then there was that time last year that person did this and no, and then they did this, and oh, and I don't even like the way they do their hair. And like, have you ever noticed that in your own mind, where it all of a sudden becomes this whole thing? And you judge the amount of money they spend on their family holidays, and then, oh, and they've bought a Tesla, and you think Elon Musk is an idiot. And like, your mind will go and just seek 20,000 things to lump them all together and make that person somehow wrong, as a way of relieving our experience of internal tension. Because if we make them wrong, then I get to be right. And if I'm right, okay, great. I can be okay with myself if I feel right. And in the flip of that, our mind might go crazy if depending on how our system is set up, where we then go through all of the back catalogue of the ways that we're wrong. And for some people, naming that we're wrong reinforces a previously held belief that there's something wrong with us. And then that can produce a feeling of relief because we've just matched up two truths that we think. Two, not truths, but truths. I'm, always the one that's wrong. I better just catalog a whole bunch of reasons in this moment why, yes, that's actually factual. I get resonance because my inside belief matches my outside data collection. Great. Awesome. And all we've done is relieve tension. And we went on a whole internal journey to make that happen, somewhat removed from what is most true. What is most true is that there's tension. And then the point of maturity or energetic mastery is, how can I be with myself while there's tension? How can I be with myself while there's tension? Tell the truth about it to myself. Take care of myself, not seek to medicate the tension by selling myself out or by silencing myself or by making myself or the other person wrong. I'd love to know how that lands, because that just came through really like hot and clear. And so some of the old behavior patterns acted as a buffer. So the ways that we would maybe calm things down or stay silent or join in with the other person's opinion or view versus have our own, which might be different, it creates a buffer. And that buffer is like a silencer or a muffler on the tension of not being the same, on the tension of not allowing that two people can have two different views and still be in connection. And so you might feel that you're moving into a space, if you're starting to practice new ways of being, you might be going, whoa, why does this feel so crunchy? Like it shouldn't feel so crunchy. I don't want it to feel crunchy for the rest of my life. I just want to maybe revert back. And what can be happening is that you're getting accustomed to not having that buffer around tension. And then as a result, you will potentially experience more of the tension. And the movement is, how can I actually be okay with the tension? And the other thing, this came up from a conversation through the week, was how do I know when it's the truth versus just a reaction? And because sometimes both of them can feel sharp, both of them can feel hot and fast, both of them can feel unfamiliar, both of them can feel right, depending on what our mind is doing with it. That was also something that came up with a client session recently, was there initially in the beginning part of a process that she went through, she was like, it's just my truth to do XYZ. I was like, okay, great. And then at the end of a session we had, she then acknowledged that what was my truth wasn't actually the truth. It was her reaction, and there was an attachment to it. And in stating it as like, this is my truth, it was a way to get everybody else to stop questioning it. But when she processed the mind trigger, it's actually, oh, that actually wasn't true. When she softened the need to be right and make the other person wrong, then there was the possibility to feel what was most true. And what was most true was not what she said in that moment. So the reaction can feel really like boom. And often it's the mind going, just say this and say it fast and say it loud, and then it'll be done. And in that delivery, it can be like, yep, that feels really true and I'm committed to it and I'm going to fight for it. And sometimes that can actually be the mind fighting for its rightness and fighting for a reduction in tension, when actually the truth might be something different if we can address what the mind is trying to do, its safety and survival mechanisms that have gone into a little bit of overdrive. And so what I would say is it's really beneficial to get to know the quality in your body of what is truth and what's a reaction, because they will have different qualities. And one of the markers I find is often with reaction that there's an urgency, right? It's like, got to send that text message really quickly, got to reply on that email, got to do the thing. It's like, poof. And that's often our system going into like hyper mode to bat something back over the net. And so we get to reduce tension. It can often be that. It's like, quick, I've got to send that. My system is up. You know, there's heat in the body. The mind is going really fast. And I'm just going to like send that text message back to that person. You know, that feeling. And one thing I'll say about the quality of what is most true is there's often a little bit more of a steadiness to it in the body. Even if what needs to be said clearly and cleanly, there's a different, almost a vibration to how it feels in my body. It's almost like what's most true can wait a second. It can wait for a breath or 5 breaths, and it'll still be there. The truth will still be there. Whereas a reaction is like, now, I've got to do it now, and it gets really urgent to push that reaction out. And so that would be a point of mastery, is to start to go, oh, what is that frequency in my body? Is that what's true? True? Or is that actually a reaction that's kicking in really hot and hard and fast in order to relieve tension? Mostly is what is happening. Keep safe and reduce tension. And our own experience of that, I've just given a couple of examples of ways that I might experience the difference, but the way you experience it might have its own flavor and its own vibration and your own way of noticing it. And so it's up to each person to kind of go, oh yeah, I know what it feels like when it's an urgent reaction. I really know that. And then, oh, I also know what it feels like when it's true. And it doesn't mean that what is most true is the most comfortable. It doesn't mean that you won't still have sweaty armpits and flushed cheeks at the thought of backing the truth. But often I find, even if I'm having some sort of uncomfortable reaction at having to stand for something, underneath it, there's just a rightness. And I have to do this. Even if it's uncomfortable, I have to do this. That's how I experience it. And it's sort of how I know as well that there might be like a little bit of shaky voice that I have to say the thing out loud, the thing that's revealing or the thing that's true or whatever it is. And also there's a deeper sense of anchoring. It's like, and I just have to do that. It's sort of like they ride differently in my body, in my system. And so you might be moving through some layers like that. And also, along the process of getting more comfortable at communicating like this and living this way, you're still going to do it one way and not the other, and you're still going to revert, and you're still going to kind of like try it out something and it doesn't feel great, and you'll stumble over the words and da-da-da. That's all normal. It's a little bit like having the training wheels on. And also, another hugely amazingly fabulous life skill is the knowing how to go back and clean something up afterwards. So let's say you revert to the reaction, or you revert to medicating the situation by not speaking up, like an old pattern kicks back in. Let's say that's what happens. My guess is you're now going to have a quicker pathway to know that there was a better way to do it. And there's a way you would have preferred to do it, but I just came on a bit fast. And you'll feel it. And you'll be like, ugh. And so one of the most amazing life skills is how to go back and clean that up, and having the willingness to do that, the courage to go back to that person or that situation and go, I know I said this, and actually in reflection, that's not true for me. And here's what is go back and clean it up. And that can be hugely empowering, actually, for your own system, in terms of that stabilizing self-trust and self-advocating, is you as the grown-up is willing to walk back into a room that you've just said one thing and say something else and clean it up. It also can